What is then beauty in your opinion?
Huh. Yeah. I do think I think beauty is again, I think beauty has a definition. I know that we have a lot of sayings like um,
All the
like
quotes.
beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, or
Yeah.
one man's trash is another man's treasure. Like I do think that um I think that beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, but I actually think that I think beauty is objective, but I think that not everybody has the eyes to see it. And so I'm not always like I kind of hate Bouguereau and like different
Uh
like
huh.
like I don't think that beauty is like cake and icing like all the time. I mean, I think flowers are beautiful. I think that like I love to draw portraits of my sister. Like I love like things that we always think of when we think of beauty, like sunsets, flowers, beautiful women, beautiful babies' faces. Like all of that is beautiful.
Yeah.
But I think that it depends on like beauty to me is things that are right, I suppose. Like beauty is like when you encounter like for me at least, beauty is an encounter with reality and not the reality of like I guess this is a confusing thing, but I'm still like trying to figure this out myself, honestly. But um I feel like people are always trying to give us a dose of reality. So you read like Lord of the Flies and like, okay, this is reality.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't necessarily and then you read um look at a Bouguereau painting, you're like, oh, this is sugar coated. And I do think Bouguereau is sugar coated. But then you look at it like a something that is truly beautiful or like a fairy tale, like, oh well, this is sugar coated. But I think it's also possible for things to be like coated with slime. Like I
Yeah.
think that like Lord of the Flies are different. Like there is horror in the world. There is like there is so much tragedy and horror. But I think that when you have a worldview that is only focused on the present and like negates the option to have a choice in the matter and like denies the fact of the future and like a past and a future. I think that 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 isn't depicting reality any more than things that are sugar coated are depicting reality. Um, they're both coding it with something, and I think that like a Rembrandt painting of like an old woman or old man, like you're encountering a truth about somebody and they're beautiful and yes they're old and they're like there's something beautiful in that honesty. I think I don't know if I'm making any sense, but I don't know, I think beauty is like as John Keats says, like beauty is truth, truth beauty. But I don't think that beauty is its like beauty is not like the servant of truth or anything. Like beauty is its own thing, but I think everything is like interconnected and beauty reveals and it also charms. Like I think that beauty doesn't like reveals truth, but it also doesn't need to make sense. Like I think that a lot of times like with art, especially in the atelier world, it's all about like not all the time, but sometimes and photorealism for this matter too. Like, it's oh, it's really impressive. Like it's really really well done. Wow, it's really big or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't think that like art or beauty for the matter is like it's not always like yeah. Sometimes when you're really good at something, you might want to show off to other people. Be like, look how good I am, much better than you guys. And you want to have like a sense of like I'm so great. But I think the best artists and the artists that really really encounter beauty and share beauty with others, it's not really about them, it's about what they love. Like I think beauty I think beauty is impossible without love. I think that beautiful art, like art that really is going to touch you, is impossible. Like if the person who's made it, like I don't know if you know like Lucian Freud or different like figurative painters, like I look at the figure that they're painting and I don't feel like they love the person, or like I don't think that they actually see them as a person. Like they kind of look like a hunk of meat or something like that. And that doesn't mean that like not everything has to be like a Birth of Venus Botticelli, where it's this like Neoplatonic, like
Yeah.
spiritual thing either. Like there's like some like Rubens, like very sensual paintings, but there's like a humanity aspect to that painting, like Rubens, that like Lucian Freud doesn't have. And I think that in order for something to be beautiful, it has to have love. Like you have to be seeing, like in a Rembrandt painting, like the old woman, like there's like the canvas, there's the portrait painter, there's the portrait person speaking, the portrait painted, and there's the painting, and somewhere like in between, there's this encounter, I suppose. Like there's something that happens on the canvas that is like you're the creator, but you're also being affected by what you're creating. And I think that if you're like all in control of what you're doing, like I think that in a weird way it's like there's different canons of beauty and things that we all agree, like, oh, like it's beautiful, like when you're making a painting, like this kind of composition, like I definitely agree with that. But I think that you can't, just like you can't, like, your child, at least when I was younger, I would always like be like really perfectionistic and always want to get like perfect grades. And I remember like starting out on a paper and saying like, oh, I have to get an A+, and I was thinking about the end result so much that I was having such a hard time actually like writing the paper. And I think that you can't, like, with beauty, like you can't say like this is going to be a beautiful paper. Like you can't, you have to, like, you can't be the master. You have to sorry about, like, my nose is really stuffy. You
No
can't
worries.
be the master. You're receiving something, although as well, even though you're the creator. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's how I've experienced it. And when I look at art that I love, that's what I feel from